Well, the government uses a lot of word games like they always do, mind games. They say it's not the government's water, it's the people's water. Oh, yeah, right. But you have to...
Community property. Community property.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
It's communism, it's socialism, it's all runaway bad ideas. But they also say, they use a lot of disinfo, and they say, oh, he's blocking stream water, trying to imply that somehow he's blocking a stream that enters his property and then leaves his property, and that he's damming that up. That's not what's going on. He's damming up the water that runs off of his own property from rainfall that later enters a stream. And again, that practice, that is considered one of the fundamental tenets of permaculture. In fact, here in Texas, we get tax credits for building those dams and collecting and capturing rainwater. We get tax credits from various counties all across Texas for doing that. But in Oregon, you get thrown in jail for the same thing. Incredible.
Well, it sounds like a state-run shakedown, if you ask me. And what's next? When do they tell us that they own the sun? I mean, is it too far-fetched to say that it's going to be illegal to have solar panels?
Well, certainly. Already, they're trying to register gardens in Utah. It's not going to be long before they outlaw home gardens unless you have permission from the government. The solar systems that are out there right now, there's a huge story on that I don't think INFOWARS has covered yet. You might want to look into it. Virtually all of these so-called grid tie systems, they will go down when the grid goes down. There is no solar independence. These people, they think they're going to operate off-grid, but they don't. There's a circuit built into the solar systems that shuts them off when the grid goes down. And it will surprise a lot of people who have invested a lot of money in solar and who think they're off-grid, but they're not.
Well, and that's what this is. These are tactics that they are using to keep us on the grid. I mean, they don't want us to be self-efficient. Isn't that what it's all about?
Well, yeah, self-sufficiency is the enemy of control, and they want that centralized control. They want to control your food, your gardens. They want to control your access to guns and ammo, so you can't defend your own property and defend your life against looters or criminals. They want to control, well, they've already controlled your money, your income. They take their taxes right out of your income before you even see it. And if you're lucky, you might get a little bit back. You know, they want to control everything: fuel, intellectual property. I mean, the agricultural system, seeds, you name it. They want to control it. And in fact, really, at this point, Darren, we are tax slaves who live on tax farms. We're not free citizens in a free nation. We're just peons working for the state. That's how bad it has become, and it's going to get even worse.
Well, I think the establishment is fully aware that there's a growing movement right now. More and more people are practicing, sustainability. More and more of us are growing our own gardens. We're saying no to GMO. We're saying no to fluoridated water, refusing to drink it, and we're collecting our own water, our own sunlight. We're getting off the grid, and I think this has them scared a little bit, don't you think?
Well, absolutely. This is why the government's becoming so desperate and cracking down and arresting the raw milk, fresh milk sellers at gunpoint. And where does that come from? I mean, as we talk right now, there's an innocent man in jail in Ventura County, California, who's done nothing wrong, nothing whatsoever. He's being persecuted because he stood up for independence. He stood up for food freedom. That's James Stewart I'm talking about with Rawson Foods. He's still in jail. All across the country, they're clamping down on people who demand freedom and independence. Small businesses, small businesses are under attack. Jobs are being shipped out of the country using taxpayer money sometimes. And then the government, Obama said recently he wants to have a, quote, bailout of every industry. It's not a bailout, it's government taking over. It's a state-run, state-controlled economy. That is total runaway economic communism. That's what it is. He just uses different words to trick people, and too many people fall for it. It's really sad.
Well, there was a time when Americans were known for rugged individualism. I mean, that's what it used to mean to be an American, to be self-efficient and not to be dependent on the government. But the establishment, they want you to think that it's the government that creates prosperity, not individuals, not entrepreneurs or hardworking people like you and me and the majority of our audience, And I think, what they're doing, they want to make this a nanny state, and we have got to fight this with everything that we've got.
And I agree with you. And the sad thing is that about half the population wants the nanny state. Look, they're so apathetic. I mean, runaway apathy. They just They don't have any courage anymore. They don't have a single independent thought in their brains. They're the Obama bots. They just go along with anything they're told to do. They love the state to be the nanny, to tell them what to eat, tell them what medicine to take, tell them how to vote, what to think. They watch mainstream news and they think that's factual. They don't recognize it's a fairy tale. So those people are frankly, to a great degree, hopeless. It's only those who watch INFOWARS and who read my website, Natural News, and other independent alternative media who are informed and who really have a chance of surviving what's coming. Maybe we can get into some of that too.
Yeah, sure. And in the meantime, I mean, you really have got to admire the courage of Gary Harrington, who's in jail right now, for standing up for his rights. And we're standing up for all of us, in my opinion. And before he went to jail, I'm just going to read a quote that he said. This is Gary Harrington. When something is wrong, as an American citizen, you have to put your foot down and say, this is wrong. You can't take away any more of my rights. And from here on, I am going to fight it. And well said, Gary Harrington. And Mike, I know that you're going to continue to follow this case as it develops. And who knows, maybe perhaps when he gets out of jail, one of us could interview him. That could be interesting.
Yeah, I'd like to do that. And again, I just can't believe that the people of Oregon didn't rally to his defense and, besiege the jail and make sure that an innocent man wasn't jailed for practicing permaculture. It's just unbelievable.
Well, I could tell you I posted, and I do use Facebook. I hate to admit it, but I'm going to try to wean off of that. But I did post an image about what's going on with him, and I have to say it was the most shared image I've ever posted. I mean, people are really passionate about this. So hopefully we could create a firestorm, and people will, get up and protest and do something about it.
Well, I hope so. I hope so. I'm really wondering, what is that line in the sand for the American people? What is the bridge too far, so to speak? At what point has the government crossed the line? Because so far, everything they've done, people just go along with it. Even TSA.
I was going to say, if you're going to allow them to grope your kids going through TSA, I mean, that was their green light. I think once we allowed that to happen, they just said, we could do whatever we want.
Well, that's right. I mean, they're going to start coming to your house and having soldiers seize all of your food, take your teenage daughter away and have their way with her, loot your jewelry, take your gold, and people are going to say, oh, no problem. We don't want to be labeled extremists. We're going to go along with that. I mean, that's what America has come to. It's half the population are just pathetic slugs. They have no consciousness. They're zombies, man. I mean, they're gone.
No, I know. It's very scary. And, well, look, let's switch gears a little bit. I mean, because I want to get your take on the impending financial collapse. The Federal Reserve just issued a warning to all the big banks, telling them to prepare for a worst-case scenario. And this is their words, not mine. Prepare for the worst. Meanwhile, you've got the U.S. government stockpiling records amounts of food and ammunition. And at the same time, you've got the Obama administration signing all these crazy executive orders right now that would potentially be implemented in the event of a major meltdown of society. So a lot of crazy things going on right now, a lot of warning signals. What's your take on all this?
Well, 1.4 billion rounds of ammo, hollow point ammo, most of it in the hands of the DHS that doesn't even fight foreign wars. That tells you something. This is ammo to be used domestically against the American people. And
yeah, I mean, that's what I'm thinking. When I see all these purchases, I'm thinking they're either preparing for a Red Dawn type of scenario, which is, come on, or they are, if I wasn't mistaken, I mean, to me, it looks like they are preparing a war for the American people.
Well, clearly, I mean, that's the only reasonable explanation, unless maybe they're buying it to secretly ship it overseas and fund, give Al Qaeda more ammo. That's another possible scenario. But the most likely reasonable scenario is they're acquiring the ammo. And remember, most of it is anti-personnel ammo. All right, so it's jacketed hollow point ammo. This is not training ammo. Some of it is sniper ammo, a significant amount of it, actually. I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of rounds, but it's like 308 sniper ammo. And then there's 5.56 with hollow point tips, ballistic tips, things that penetrate armor. That's what the government is buying to use against the people. And at the same time, then, they're proposing to disarm the people. They're proposing, oh, don't let the people buy ammo. Don't let the people buy guns. So what you're seeing is a massive concentration of power into the hands of the government while the public is being disarmed. This is, Darren, this is the recipe for genocide. This is the recipe for the Holocaust. You know, before Hitler herded all the Jews into the railroad cars and took them to the incinerators, he disarmed them first. So if you give up your guns, you are essentially committing suicide, allowing the government to genocide you and your family in whatever way they choose down the road.
Well, I tell you what, they're not the only ones stockpiling food and ammunition. The American people are stockpiling huge amounts of weapons and ammunition right now, and if we have to, we're prepared to dig in and fight. And well, I know one of the things that concerns me most, and I know this is a big concern for you as well, and that is the likelihood of another false flag terror attack. And you even wrote in an article recently on INFOWARS where you said another false flag attack is imminent and that we should prepare ourselves and our families for the worst. And, you know, what makes you think that a staged event is right around the corner?
Because Obama's doing poorly in the polls. If you think about it, the better that Romney and Ryan do in their election, in the polls, the more the global controllers of Obama, who's obviously a puppet, they want to make him look like a hero so that they can win the election for him and keep him in office where he can have, you know, unbridled power in the second term to use executive orders to call for all kinds of things, including total disarmament, total economic shutdown, total government takeover of all industry and all farms and so on. So they would want to stage an event that makes Obama look like a hero, just like Bush following 9/11.
Well, I was just going to say, it's not like this has ever happened before. I mean, this is the real history